to it. LL, what's good? Lucky Lefty podcast. I'm Shaun Davis. That dude right there, the original Lucky Lefty himself. Brought to you by Onora Whisky. OnoraWhiskey.com is that premium American whiskey, OnoraWhiskey.com. And if you drink, you definitely have to make sure that you drink
responsibly.
for sure. Yes. For sure. And it's back, fully stocked everywhere across America. Fully stocked. We appreciate it. We have been efforting, and I don't know if you saw this, bro, but there was a scout who does high school recruiting. His name is Brian Smith, and he works for Sports Illustrated. He did a YouTube video yesterday about Notre Dame and its recruiting. And I actually reached out to him because I was like, yo, we have to get him on the show. And he started talking about the need for Notre Dame to definitely get a transfer quarterback next year. He's like, they can't. He was like, dude, the speculation about CJ Carve, reclassifying. He was like, the quarterbacks they have on the roster. This is what he said, bro. He said, when you evaluate quarterbacks, your question has to be in a one-game scenario, can they beat Alabama?
Yeah.
He said, when you're looking at a kid, watching his high school film, you have to be able to look at him and evaluate and say, I don't care how many championships he's won in this state. I don't care how many city championships he's won. Can I beat Alabama with him
That's it.
at quarterback?
That's
and
it.
I thought I was like, yo, that's spot on. That's absolute spot on. It's as simple as that. So
it's the truth.
Yeah. And if you guys missed it, we'll leave the link to it. We'll post it on our Twitter page, the link to the YouTube video after the show. At some point, we will post the link to the studio so you guys can come in and ask us any question. It's for the Culture Friday. That's what we're all about. And, bro, when you're for the culture like we are, certain things that make you laugh, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to put up one of the funniest scenes for me in the history of film. And I wonder what that would be for you. Like, just off the top, like, what's your go-to funny scene that you flip through TV? It's a certain movie or a certain scene that you always stop on when you see it. Like, yo, I have to watch this.
It's probably something from Superbad. Love the movie.
Superbad's mad underrated.
Mad underrated. I think it's just because I saw it at a time where it just was at the right time of my funny development. Like my what I thought was funny, what my type of comedy was. Superbad came out at the right time. At any point in the movie, I think it just still makes me giggle. I think it's just a great movie to watch.
Yeah. So this is one of my favorite scenes, bro. Anytime I see it, I stop. And I was like, I have to play it for the culture. Check it out.
Doing? Hey. Guys, what's up? How you doing? It's funny running into you here, singing love songs to each other. Shit, that was pretty. Don't stop on my account. Yeah. We didn't see. We was just in the neighborhood. We thought, you mind if we join you?
No, not at all. Not at all.
Have a seat. Sit down, girl. Why you all stiff? Rees,
why you all stiff?
See, you got on my favorite dress with this area all like, hey, wow, all out. Greased up from a man. I'm sorry, I'm Dre Ellis. You are?
Richard Lawson.
Richard Lawson. All right, you sound educated.
Richard Lawson.
You guys, friends of Reese's, huh?
Yeah, well, actually, the funny thing is, she's my wife.
What? Look, hey, I'm sorry.
That's
I had
cool. That's cool. How could you know? She ain't wearing the $15,000 ring that I bought her ass. I should say still paying off, but
Actually,
you
I'm
understand.
paying for it.
Could you not put my
Well,
business out on the
you
street?
joining us for dinner?
Listen, my
No,
man.
you know what? We were just about to leave.
I'm trying to order the most expensive bottle of champagne because we finna celebrate.
Dre.
We gonna celebrate what? My divorce. How about that?
Dude, it doesn't matter when I see this. I'm like, yo, I gotta see this video, bro.
Great.
Now, did you think you would have played it like that?
I don't know. I just think you just gotta hold it together long enough to just keep it going, to just keep it going. So I mean, it's a strong brother to stay in character. See, that's the truth.
And now that I see him and like the TikTok videos that he puts up, I see
Tay Green's
perfectly
hilarious.
how he could create that scene. I'm like, you know what? That's him. That's absolutely him.
So I see him on set, for All American,
right.
and he's the same person. Like it's even him doing his lines he's like how they call Will Ferrell is always in character,
Yeah.
and you just never know when he's just like talking to you. Tay Diggs the same way. Like you don't know if he's saying his lines or he's messing them up because he's still like Tay Diggs with it. Loved it. It was great seeing it in person because it's remind me of what we just watched.
Yo, Lucky Lefty podcast. So we'll be giving you our predictions for the matchup and the 4 big games this weekend. Tennessee games like Tennessee, Florida, of course, Ohio State, Wisconsin, which I don't think is going to be much of a game after halftime, until they solve their situation at quarterback. Clemson, Wake Forest, and Arkansas, Texas A&M. Like, we'll get to those. Those are going to be the big matchups. And yeah, bro, I think it's going to be a fascinating weekend of football. But to continue the conversation for the Culture Friday and for the culture of Notre Dame to increase, change, move forward, there has to be a change in evaluation at the quarterback position and recruiting and development. According to Brian Smith, Tommy Rees has been an outright failure in this area. He talked about the year that he got Drew Pyne, he could have gotten J.J. McCarthy, but he chose Drew Pyne. The year he got Tyler Buckner, there's an SEC quarterback that wanted to come to Notre Dame and would have come to Notre Dame. This is according to him. That ended up at an SEC school because Tommy Rees just flat out wanted Tyler Buckner.
Who, Bo Nix?
No, he didn't say his name. I don't think Bo Nix was the same year as Tyler Buckner, though.
I'm trying to think. Who was
I'm looking at Tyler Buckner's class right now, which is,
J.J. McCarthy,
Quinn Ewers, Caleb Williams, J.J. McCarthy went to Michigan. The Brock Vandegrift kid went to Georgia. That's an SEC school. The Jalen Milrose kid went to Alabama. And Carlos Del Rio Wilson, he went to Florida. So Eli Stores went to Texas A&M. It's like 5 quarterbacks that went to the SEC schools that he felt like the guy he was talking about was, in his opinion, a much better.
Hey, should have been J.J.
Yeah. Hey, Drake May, who we're going to see this weekend, was ranked higher than Tyler Buckner as a quarterback, and they chose Tyler Buckner. So his point was his overall point. That just step away from the quarterback position. His overall point was, and I had some people reach out to me and say, yo, you guys have to make us feel better about the way this thing is going right now. Brian Smith's whole point was Marcus Freeman and this staff and what they're doing recruiting wise, they're going to be top 5. The relationships they're building, he's like talking to the kids, their perception of Notre Dame as a program has changed. And it hasn't been a full year. Like everything's different. He was like, they're going to get kids. He was like, look at Benjamin Morrison. He's a 3-and-done kid at cornerback. They haven't had that in a while. Now they're going to have that. And now they're probably going to get another 3-and-D cornerback in the 24 class. He said, so they're building. He was like, Notre Dame's going to be fine. He was like, the receivers they have coming in, more than likely one of them is going to pop early. You add that to Tobias Merriweather. You add that to the fact that Lorenzo Styles is going to be back. You're going to have receivers next year that can be explosive. So he was saying that the future was bright, but he was like, yo, nothing's really going to change until you saw this quarterback situation. And he flat out said the previous staff just gave up and didn't even care. He pretty much said that, like after the run that they had, which led to them getting Brandon, he was like, they totally changed the way they looked at the quarterback room and evaluated it. Don't know what changed, why they chose to change the evaluation, but they stopped going after top tier guys for whatever reason. Can't do that. That's my biggest issue. You can't do that and then say resources.
Yeah.
You can't make the decision to do that and then point to a lack of resources. I know. It's a great video. Like I said, we'll post it on our Twitter page after we get done with the show. But everyone should check it out because I thought he pretty much surmised in 18 minutes what we've been trying to tell you for the last 2 weeks. And we've gotten pushback from fans and pushback from people from other programs. Like, oh, it's like, dude. He also said this. He was like, Notre Dame's going to be a really good team next year. He was like, just looking at all the talent they have coming back and the youngsters they have on the roster, are going to be a really good team next year. But they have to get, he figured they might have to go get 2 quarterbacks in the portal. Right?
Yeah.
Because he's figuring maybe one of these quarterbacks transfers out. He said he doesn't know who Steve Angeli really is. So, but he did say, you know, as a quarterback, if you have not shown anything the majority of the time by your sophomore year, it's very questionable whether or not you can be that dude that leads a team to a national championship.
Yeah.
You know, he said, dudes at quarterback, you see it. You see it. Like, I don't know if Quinn Ewers would ever win a national championship, but I saw something in the first quarter against Alabama that I was like, okay.
Yeah. You felt good in the first couple throws. You're like, oh, okay, he's all right. He all right.
Right. So
he's up for the challenge. You know, sometimes you can, like Kyle Trask, when Florida played Alabama in the SEC championship, he was up for the task. You know, it took a couple throws. You're like, okay, he's locked in. When we played Clemson with Ian Book in the championship in 2018, I just didn't feel as though he had enough talent to overcome it. Especially when they had that D-line, how they were having it. It just looked like if we didn't get a pass off, it was struggle. Right. You know, it didn't look like I was like, okay, Bryce Young last play, he's going to avoid the free blitzer, make a play, win us the game. I didn't feel like that.
So, in using his theory, we should target the 2020 class for possible transfers. And I want to throw a couple names out to you. Um, you got Arch Manning going to Texas next year, right?
Okay.
Hudson Card is the backup.
Okay.
Quinn Ewers is already there.
Mm-hmm.
There's a kid that's also there named Jaquinton Jackson
Mm.
that you might want to look at.
And Malik
Dual threat.
Murphy.
What year is Malik Murphy?
He just got there. He 2022.
Yeah. I don't know if he's like in that pocket of ready to bounce. Yeah, because Hudson Card is going to be probably leaving, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Because he's not beating out Quinn Ewers.
Nope.
And Arch is the dude in
Arch,
waiting.
whoever's not Quinn, might as well go ahead and dip.
Right.
You just
So
not
Hudson,
in any case.
yeah. So Hudson Card is someone that might be transferring. Jaquindon Jackson, also on the roster, who was ranked fifth, right behind Hudson Card was ranked fourth behind CJ Stroud in the 20 class. And then Jaquindon Jackson was ranked fifth. We can also possibly look at somebody like Ethan Garbers from that class that was ranked eighth. The Heward kid that was a 5-star in the 21 class is out there at Washington as well. And they have Michael Penix starting right now. So these are the kids that are probably going to be hitting the transfer portal. The kid that you like, that's the backup to KJ Wallace, Malik Hornsby down there at Arkansas. There's another kid that will be interesting to watch to see if he sticks around, maybe another year or wants to get out of there. Jeff Sims is definitely going to be in the transfer portal, the quarterback of Georgia Tech, who a lot of people feel like is being wasted, as a quarterback. So based upon like his area of guys that he thinks, and DJ Uagalele could be a candidate as well. Those are just some names based upon what Brian Smith said.
We don't want DJ.
I'm just saying, those are the guys that might end up being in the portal that you might feel good about who they are. They didn't get opportunities and they might not want to wait behind the eventual starter that's going to be in the program. So should be interesting.
Yeah, it should be interesting. We have to find a quarterback that's a style that fits something Tommy's going to be able to get behind. Unfortunately, through his recruitment, none of those guys match the type of quarterback that Tommy even recruits. So it's just a struggle and or a project. Tyler Buckner doesn't have the play style to beat Alabama because the way you run, Alabama's eating that up. You're not going to be lowering your shoulder all day versus Alabama and expect to come out a successful, game. So the style that Tyler plays with is not Alabama beating. Now I'm not saying that that's the team that we're going to see, but that's a team that's going to be in there. And so for us, it's got to be somebody that is Jack Cohn like. I think that's just Tommy's best model. I don't know. I just don't believe that Tommy does well with dynamic quarterbacks. Maybe that's just his ego of what he likes in his offense over what is the talent in the room is. But with the dynamic quarterback that he has now, he's using it as a fourth running back. We said the four horsemen going into the season being Tyler a threat as a ball carrier, but we didn't know he was going to be the lead carrier either. So it's going to be interesting to see. I agree with this sentiment that we need a guy to come in and damn near lead the team. I think the team is set up itself to be led in the direction of they'll get behind a guy that's a dude and we can make a serious run. The team set up for it. Team was set up for it in 2015. Team was set up for it in 2018. Team was set up for it in 2012. We had those teams that were built to win a championship, but needed a dude to split the Red Sea for us, and we crossed that thing.
And this is one of those, like you said, developmental setup years. And I said this, and I was serious at the time, but I didn't know how right I was. I felt like Eddie George should have played Notre Dame this year.
Oh yeah.
I was like, yo, next year is the wrong year to play because I felt like that team was going to be so much better.
Not if we get a quarterback.
I'm just thinking about this. Just think about that secondary next year.
That's well and fine, but we can't score points. Our secondary limited Ohio State, the Ohio State, to 21 points. They scored 77 last week. 77 points last week. The week before, what was the week before? 56 something points. Our secondary was young in that game. First game experience. We gave them boys 21 points and struggled to get 21. How much better can you ask for a guy, a dude, to walk in there and win the game? If we had Caleb Williams on our team and said, Caleb, Ohio State's only going to score 21 points, and you got XYZ as a weapon, you got Lorenzo Styles, Michael Mayer, Aldrich, Logan, Chris Tyree, Tobias Merriweather, Jaden Thomas. All you got to do is score more than 21 points, and you can beat Ohio State and put yourself on the Heisman watch. First game of the season. I think everybody believes he could have got that done. I just want to find a quarterback that can score more than 21 points in a big game. The defense is going to be great next year. The defense is going to be great. The receivers are going to be better next year. The running backs are going to be better next year. Is the quarterback position going to be better next year? Because it has to be. If we're limiting the best offense in the country to 21 points and 7 points throughout the third, where's our guy at? Marshall game. Where's our closer? It shows that we play to the level of whoever we play with. That's why I'm like, Marcus Freeman's probably so frustrated because he's like, oh my goodness, we can play with anybody. That's probably the most frustrating thing to ever be a part of. That's frustrating for me coaching Lakewood because we play to the level of whoever we're playing, no matter if they're the best team in the country or the worst team in the league. We always make it a struggle. But the difference between us and Notre Dame right now, I trust the quarterback that I got. He gonna make something happen, pull us out of a lot of jams, running and throwing. But I don't cuff my quarterback. I'm like, look, you got to win it. If I tell him, I'm like, you got to win this. Just like Tommy told his quarterback. You got to do your job. The whole team is dependent on you. But the talent of that guy is the talent of a man from Connecticut. Not that he don't possess great numbers, but he's not talented enough to beat Alabama.
Mm-hmm.
He's not talented enough to go in there and beat Ohio State when we give them 21 points. We're looking for the guy that can do that. That's the requirements. Can you beat Ohio State if we allow them 21 points? Can you beat Bama and depend on you and if the game plan goes to shit? Can that be you? If it's not, for us and where we are as a program, it would be a disservice not to put a guy behind that center. because everybody else eats off of that. Why is Clemson not receivers? You're not hearing about them more because the guy behind the center can't feature him, even with the great play calling. Bo Collins is a great receiver. But you look over there at USC, all them receivers is featured, and they're transfer guys, 1-year guys. Jordan Addison didn't miss a beat.
Yeah.
If we had Jordan Addison, he would miss a beat. Because you'd be like, why can we not get him the football? That USC looked like it make it premium. I'm talking about deep, wide open, down the field plays, just how you want it.
Right.
Order. We got guys like that, in my opinion. But you couldn't tell. And if you do, we overthrowing them or underthrowing them. Just imagine the potential of what that Marshall touchdown could have been before half and just the momentum it could have brought to see a receiver running past the defense. We got him. We caught him. Just to see the receiver just running for 60-yard touchdown. It would have been on ESPN. We don't got no plays on ESPN running down the field on no 60-yard. No, even the small teams get those. A Buffalo will get something, guy break a tackle. We don't even get no explosive plays like that on ESPN. When's the last time you've seen us play on ESPN or a highlight show where they've shown some explosive play from us? It's always been a quick cut to somebody catching a quick touchdown, or we running it in from the one, or some last play that the defense doesn't save miraculously. It's never been us closing out a game on a bomb or something crazy. Never. So that's the issue.
So it's amazing that we talk about this because one of the things that has been on the tongues of Notre Dame fans is blame to the coaching staff. And I want to go back to something that was said. Each and every Monday, we have a former Notre Dame player on the podcast, part of the Players Lounge. And this past week was no different. Fantastic episode. You get to see Malik and CJ Procise share stories and talk about, the future being bright at Notre Dame. So if you missed it, go check it out from this past Monday. But, one of the things that CJ talked about also was that the lack of discipline on this team and whose fault it was.
I have the confusion because a lot of people talk about the undisciplined penalties. CJ, you've been on the team. You've been on the team with us. Do you think that undisciplined penalties are a player or a coach problem?
It's kind of both. It's definitely. I wouldn't. It's definitely on the player. The players are definitely being undisciplined, but the coach ain't got to enforce it to where they're not going.
Enforce it, right?
And so what this the part that was killing me from the game when on the Hail Mary when the safety tried to scoop it up. That shows me that's undisciplined to me because that tells me that they're not telling him to knock the shit down. I mean, it's the end of the game. Like I can see maybe halftime, maybe the end of the game. You ain't won a game yet. Knock that shit down so we can get out of here.
Oh man, it was too close. It's like, what are y'all doing?
What are y'all knock it down? But so that to me, but even the helmet to helmet, I didn't really he was that's an emotional. I think that's emotional.
It's just
that's emotional. That's a bad play on the player's part. You can't. And I mean, he's a captain, so he should know that. He can't really, he definitely should know better. So. That's definitely undisciplined on him on the player part.
I just don't remember us having too many moments where you all right, bro, lock in, what you doing? It was more like everybody was, we doing this, we going here. This is what we going through.
Yeah, and I think we also have to give a lot of control. The staff, we had a great staff while we were there too. So maybe I know the staff, running back coach, receiver coach. Offensively, we had a great staff, so I knew we weren't penalty wise. We weren't committing any penalties.
It wasn't us.
We weren't playing if you were doing none of that.
And that's one of the things offensively that we've yet to see. Accountability for the mistakes of Jared Patterson, of Braden Lindsey. Like, you're getting a procedure penalty on a quarterback sneak. Like, what are we doing on a quarterback sneak? Like, you can literally stand there and have a conversation with your teammates. There's nothing you have to do other than stand there, and you get a procedure penalty. That's just uncalled for. And then for you not to be pulled off the field after that, like, come on. Like, there has to be some accountability. And you guys talked about that, just even in practice. Like, dude, if you had a bad day of practice, let alone 2 in a week, there was so much depth on the squad that it was like, oh, man, you can go to the back of the line. But because of recruiting and what the previous regime left, that depth isn't there.
Isn't threatening.
It's not threatening. So the coaches really can't use that the way they used to use it with you guys. But there's no way. For me, Braden Lindsey could have, like, come on, man. For a false start on a quarterback sneak? Really? Lucky Lefty Podcast. It's time for our predictions, bro.
Let's get
Before we get to the rest of the college football weekend. And then we ask some questions. But, how are you feeling?
About our game? Our game, I think we should win, obviously. I think it'll be really close, and this would be a good opportunity for Marcus Freeman to use great coach situational, awareness opportunities, for him to be able to maybe call timeouts in crucial situations. I find it hard to believe that we're just going to be a team that's going to roll out there and score 50 points, or hit on all cylinders on offense. So I think it'll be a dogfight. We're at their place. They're a basketball school, so I don't know how rowdy they're going to get, but I'm sure it's going to be anticipation just like anytime we go anywhere. So this is not a game for Drew Pyne to come out nervous the first half because it can be over real quick. We've seen North Carolina had the ability to score a lot of offense. But, with us giving Ohio State 21, I think that, it sets a precedent that our defense is going to keep us in a lot of games, which I believe is why it's going to be close. And so I got us winning the game 24-21.
I'm going to be a little aggressive this week, bro. I'm going to tell you how this game is going to go.
Okay.
North Carolina gets Josh Downs back. They're going to be looking to jump on Notre Dame early. But I think they're going to be shocked at the resistance that they get. Why? Because they face Florida A&M, App State, and Georgia State. I don't think they faced a legitimate Power 5 defensive line. I don't think they faced a legitimate Power 5 secondary. And I think Drake May and that offense is going to have to adjust at some point early in the game. Any team can come out and run that script that you script all week and score. So it's very possible that North Carolina could score in their first drive. But ultimately, the talent that they're facing defensively is going to bring about a lack of, or they won't be able to flow as easily from drive to drive and series to series like they've been against the other teams because of the Notre Dame defense. I see Notre Dame going to halftime with a double-digit lead. 17-7, something like that. And then I see Notre Dame doing what they do, getting conservative and playing hold on. And as the game wanes into the fourth quarter, it's going to take big plays from the defense to secure the victory. I think that's the way it's going to be, because I think they're going to be successful running the ball early. I think North Carolina will have an answer for that. They're not just going to let Notre Dame just run the ball for 4 quarters. And unless Notre Dame can add something via special teams or a touchdown via defense or something like that, I'm going to go ahead and say 28-24. I'm going to say 28-24. So which Notre Dame was still, because it's only I think they're only favored by 1.5, which is basically
Pathetic.
Yeah, which is really 4 points. You're giving 2 points to the home team, so it's really neutral field. It would be 3.5. But Notre Dame wins 28-24. And that's me fully believing. I really believe the defense can give Drake May some problems.
100%.
I really do. I really do.
Drake May is going to have a lot of chances at it. That's the only issue.
And this is the thing.
I'll say 21 with a lot of chances.
Now, this is going to be interesting, bro. As successful as they have been with their wide receivers and their quarterback, when they get resistance, will North Carolina be patient enough to respond and counter with their run game? Right? Because defensively, Notre Dame is really prepared defensively to be able to deal with North Carolina. Really good secondary play, really good defensive line play. Get after the quarterback and cover. The weakness has been the linebacker play, right?
That's
so
right.
Taking advantage of the linebacker play is using your running backs not only in the rush attack, but in the passing game, wheel routes, things like that. If Phil Longo can respond in that way and, not basically stick to the script that they've been using for the first 3 games with Drake May and their receivers, they might be able to put up 24 points. But if they just try to drop back and just air it out like they did against Georgia State, it could lead to some turnovers.
Yeah, it can lead to some good things for us. And I really think the best part about it all is that we're just going to get an opportunity to see Drew Pyne in his second chance at it, be more comfortable, work the ball down the field, nickel and diamond, and get his stabs at it when he can. I think, if anything, him having experience is going to allow him to settle in the drives and create longer drives, so we're not just so 3 and out. That's the Drew Pyne at his best. So I think if we can get him to do that, it'll save the defense a lot of reps that they don't need necessarily. And it can also keep guys healthy. I mean, we can see a variety of guys shine. You can see Tommy's play calling come out. So the longer we can stay on the field, the better I think it would be for offense. I don't think we're an explosive 2-play, 3-play type of team. But, Drew Pyne does well enough to manage. We can see a little bit more of what we like Tommy so much for, his creativity, his ability to get guys open, and hopefully we can see our stars shine in an away game that was a must-win.
And if you go back to last year's game, you will see that Notre Dame early in that matchup against North Carolina was effective against the North Carolina offense. Phil Longo adjusted late in the second quarter, early in the third quarter. They got that big, long touchdown run that got them back closer. And then they struggled stopping Sam Howell from scrambling, just like they did last week against Cal. This goes to the linebacker play. Like, where are you? Like, when we put pressure on the quarterback and he steps up, you can't allow him to have these long runs to extend drives when you need to get off the field and get the ball back to your rushing attack to wear that struggling North Carolina defense down even further. So
Yeah, we did make a non-athletic quarterback look athletic, running a lot of two-man, and he's just taking advantage. So we do need some rallying, closing speed from our linebackers. That's the second line of defense. I'm not putting that on our defenders, on our secondary, because they're doing a great job covering.
you know what? In that position, would you have the linebackers more aggressive? So if you're in two man, one of those linebackers has the running back. Either you blitz and let that running back free release and get to the quarterback, or do you have the linebacker step closer to the line of scrimmage so that they can spy if that running back stays in? Because it's a lot of different things that you might see from Phil Longo to be able to counter with wheel routes, arrow routes, things of that nature. It was like, how do you combat? Is that on the defensive line solely to say, okay, we need to control our rush lanes, especially on the interior, and we can't go as far upfield on the edges as we did against Cal, and we can still get pressure without doing that.
Well, you just want to cause havoc. I think a lot of the times when you run two man, you believe that your front four can create enough havoc to pull off a sack because you don't believe the guy is mobile enough to handle that. So you may get a little erratic and outside of your lanes because you don't believe the guy can run. But if that's the case, you got to make it count. So guys like Fauski, you got to make those plays count. And also, you can also talk about the running back control from the D line. You can peel with the running back, but then that takes away guys like Fauski from rushing the quarterback. He's peeling with running backs. So I would love to see our linebackers be heavily more involved on the running back coverage, which they were last week. But what happened? You get a team that comes out from game planning that motions their running back outside wide on your linebacker. That tells everybody in America they know you're running man and they think their weakest guy. They want to put that on their running back on the outside. Who's our weakest guy to them? To Cal, a team that's going to finish under 500. They thought our linebacker was their weakest guy. So they put their best running back on our worst defender, they thought, and they kept throwing it at him. So it just shows you that when we go to man, which we're not afraid to play, it means that our linebackers got to play better man coverage. They got to be able to have speed. And if we get shifty running backs, and if I'm North Carolina, I'm putting Caleb Downs in the backfield. I know that Notre Dame's going to play man and blitz and do all type of things. I'm going to put Caleb Downs in the backfield and run him one-on-one all day and have a day. So it's going to come down to what is our talent and adjustments going to be once we show that that's going to be something that we're going to give up, and how do we make plays. I think we've done a great job, like I said, great job of limiting teams that are good at something to not having the best time doing it. But offensively, how do we respond and counterpunch and have long drives and score points? Because that's how it equals out. We can't be shutting teams down all year and scoring 7 points. It's not going to come in victories.
Lucky Lefty podcast. So as we said, 28-4 is my 28-24 is my prediction. Malik has it 24-21 Notre Dame. So we'll see. Let's get to a couple of questions and then we can get ready to get out of here. We thank you guys for joining us. We hit the 2,800 mark this morning. Now we're headed to the 2,900 mark. We appreciate you guys for being part of the 2,800 club or whatever previous club you were part of. Ozzy Mack says, Shaun and Malik, have you heard anything about Cade McNamara? He's unhappy from Harbaugh doing what he did between him and JJ.
Done after this year, ain't he?
No, I think he has like 2 more years because of the COVID year. He would be going into he would have 1 year left after this year normally, but then he gets the extra year because of COVID. So I think he's going to leave in this season with 2 years of eligibility.
Well, we saw what he looked like versus Georgia, and
it goes back to what we said, right? When you evaluate a quarterback, you have to ask yourself, Can that quarterback beat Alabama or Georgia? If they
We'll
can,
have a nice another 10, 11 win season and probably see more from the offense. But Cade's no different. Cade is like Ian Book with no athleticism. They probably the same size, same speed, same arm strength. I think Ian's a better playmaker. Same number, same moxie. They're both great leaders, but average athletes. You know,
yeah.
what do you want? Like, what? I mean, whatever.
Wayne Miller, should ND get a quarterback coach since Rees hasn't been able to develop a quarterback?
Oh, I said, my bad, Josh, not Caleb Downs, Josh Downs. I do think Thomas should get a quarterback coach just because it's just hard to be the quarterback coach in the OC. I mean, I'm doing it now and it's hard. And I'm telling you, I don't even do quarterback stuff no more.
Facts.
Every day I'm talking to my quarterback, okay, this is our game plan. I need you to be thinking like this. This is what they do. This is what we're trying to do as an offensive coordinator. I'm not focused too much on doing the drills and individuals and focus on your mechanics. And it's just like I'm looking at film like, man, why are you not hitting this out? Maybe because you're not brushed up on your QB skills because I'm not focused on that, So I'm doing it now, and it's hard to do. So I can only imagine at a college level, it's harder to do, and it's more pressure to do. So yeah, he should have.
What was that dynamic when you were there with Brandon, you, Deshaun, like who pretty much was the QB coach?
Yeah, Matt LaFleur, Mike Sanford. But the thing about it then was it was like 3 or 4 people calling the plays. It was like everybody was offensive coordinator. We had Mike Sanford, Denbrock, and Stanford calling it. We had Matt LaFleur, Kelly, and so they called it together. I think Denbrock was like the main guy. Sanford chimed in, Kelly chimed in here and there. When Matt was here, he chimed in with Kelly. So who knows? But now it's just going through one guy. And I mean, I like it being streamlined, but you need support, man. Marcus Freeman got James Laurinaitis, Al Golden, and himself for one position.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. I got comedy lover. Did you guys say what movie that was? That scene was hilarious, and I like to watch it. That was a scene from the movie Brown Sugar. Name of the movie is Brown Sugar. Lucky Lefty podcast. So let's go through this. The big matchups this weekend left. Arkansas, number 10 at Texas A&M, coming off of somewhat a big win for that program after a disappointing home loss to App State. Will the Aggies be able to get another big win at home against Arkansas?
I definitely am going with the money and going Texas A&M should win this game.
Should win this game.
Yes.
I think I believe in KJ Jefferson a little bit more than the quarterbacks at Texas A&M. Like flat
I'm going
out.
with the money though. I'm just going with the money.
I think I believe in KJ Jefferson a little bit more. I just do. I don't trust that quarterback. Even beating Miami, they didn't impress me. Like they beat Miami, but it was like, all right, they still have injuries in the secondary, and maybe Arkansas can take advantage of that. But Sam Pittman is going to have his Razorbacks ready to play. I know that for a fact.
100%.
So it's going to be a physical game. Clemson at Wake Forest. Look, man, you go ahead. For me, in my opinion, it doesn't matter who quarterbacks for Clemson this game. It just doesn't.
Clemson's defense is just too good. My guy Brian Brzee. That man's nice.
He's probably coming back with a whole new motivation.
That's my guy.
Continue prayers to him and his family after the loss of his sister. But you're right, dude. And they historically, that slow mesh with as aggressive as they play defensively through the front seven, that slow mesh with Sam Hartman, they've struggled. That offense has struggled against Clemson's defense. I don't see anything changing in that matchup. Number 20, Florida, at number 11, Tennessee. You've actually been part of this game. This game is a huge rivalry going back years.
I love Anthony Richardson, but I still think he's sliding. I think he's still sliding. Hendon Hooker's on the rise. I like Tennessee.
That dude has yet to throw a touchdown pass, bro.
Style of offense.
Anthony Richardson has yet to throw a touchdown pass. He's thrown a touchdown to the other team, though. But he's yet to throw a touchdown pass. So I don't know if Neyland Stadium is going to be the place where he and that offense for Florida gets on a roll. But if the Vols defense can step up and stop the run, I think it's going to end up being a long day for the Gators in that matchup.
Yeah, I mean, Tennessee's hitting on all cylinders, and so it's going to be interesting. But I think that we can get it done. Tennessee get it done. Even though I love Florida and I love A.R. Richardson.
Wisconsin at Ohio State.
Ohio State.
Just no analysis. Like flat out, no analysis. With no need to break this down. Yo, it's funny how amazing C.J. Stroud and these receivers look the further they get away from Notre Dame. It's amazing, right?
Amazing.
It's amazing.
So much talent and ability.
The same players that they told us, well, they're young and like, but they look amazing against everybody else. So it's going to be interesting, bro. It's going to be interesting seeing how things play out. Lucky Lefty podcast. We got the link right there. If anyone wants to jump in, we got about 7 minutes left in the show. We're going to get out of here. I allow you guys to have a fantastic Friday and prepare. 3 o'clock start down in Chapel Hill. The Fighting Irish invade Chapel Hill to take on the North Carolina Tar Heels. And I think it's going to be a pretty exciting game. Ozzie Mack has a question for you, bro.
I think he has good talent. He just can't stay healthy. So, I mean, you're only as good as your availability. I do think that when he does play, he flashes really good potential with a better team around him.
Mm-hmm.
Like at Notre Dame, who knows? But, he wasn't patient. They weren't willing to pull the trigger early enough, and they had their guy. So that's just an example of a guy not waiting on Notre Dame, just like Notre Dame doesn't wait on other people.
Yeah, you have to respect that. I have no problem with what he did and ultimately what he has said about his departure from Notre Dame. It would help if Boston College could get him an offensive line. I mean, the kid has literally been beat up from the time he set foot on campus.
Yeah.
You know what time it is.
Petticoat, petticoat, petticoat junction.
It's time to get petty.
Oh, we did a good job executing.
Are you upset with something?
And fire up the Petticoat Junction train.
I just don't like you.
You don't?
No.
What is today's petty historic? Petty Junction.